Interest rates have increased, home loan repayments are going up. Do we sell our properties? This is a question that I've been answering quite regularly, quite frequently over the last few months, and in particular in the last few weeks with all the speculation around interest rate rises. And my response has always been quite the same. So I thought I'd share this message with my extended network, because in times where things aren't going the best, particularly in winter periods when it comes to investing, this is the period that separates the men from the boys. And this is the period where those who hang on really reap the benefit long term, and those who give up and take the path of least resistance end up paying the price later on down the track. Now, it's important to pre-frame this to say that this advice isn't a one size fits all. So obviously what applies to myself and my clients and my direct network might not be suitable for every person that might be watching this. However, for the majority of people who I deal with, there's certain patterns and there's certain similarities, which obviously I wanted to address in this video as well. So I want to start by saying that, look, ultimately it comes down to what it is that you want most and what it is that you are most prepared to do in order to attain. And what I mean by that is that everything in life comes at a cost. So if you want the short-term gain, meaning you want the good lifestyle, the easy, comfortable ride, you don't want to be stressed right now, you don't want to be put under pressure right now, you don't want that extra responsibility right now, then that's fine. But you just be mindful that the price that you will pay is going to come at a later date. Meaning, you're not going to have the extra passive cash flow later on in life. You're not going to be able to have a bigger portfolio. It's going to be harder for you to be able to build wealth and grow, because property prices aren't getting cheaper. Expenses and life in general doesn't get easier. The pressure tends to obviously mount as we grow older and as we take on more responsibility and as we go on. Nothing in life has ever gotten cheaper as far as I'm in my lifetime. So when it comes to what is it that you want? Do you want the short-term gain and then be prepared for long-term pain? Or are you prepared to go through a bit of short-term pain to get the long-term gain? Because again, everything in life has a cost. Everything comes at a price. So for those who want the long-term gain, those who want to build their portfolios and they want to continue investing and they want to continue, towards their goal of getting passive cash flow and making money from their investments down the track, well, this is the part of the equation where it requires a cost and it requires a price to be paid. And it's in times like this when you need to mentally switch on and be prepared to pay the price. And that price comes with not just financial, but also mental and energy. So there's mental pressure that you got to be able to deal with, and there's more energy that's going to be required from you to invest into the solution. Now, the solution is going to come from one of two areas in life. It's either you're going to look at your financial bucket, look at your money bucket, and look at all the holes in the bucket, because everyone's got money coming into this one bucket called income, and then you've got all these holes which are called expenses. And 95% of the people that I've worked with over the years have never done a financial budget or a plan or any kind of assessment to look at where is their money going after it comes in. And if you don't fill those little holes in your bucket, money's just going to keep leaking out without you even knowing, it's going to make you feel like you continue to work harder just to be able to support the same lifestyle. Whereas once you do a bit of a review and you look at areas where you may be prepared to sacrifice and cut back on, all of a sudden you're going to start finding more money on the bottom line. And this is where that money can go towards supporting your investment portfolio to be able to, keep making those top-up payments. Because I get it, at the time you bought the property, it may have been cheaper to hang on to and cheaper to service, which may have made it more sustainable. But in times where interest rates have gone up, prices have gone up, expenses have gone up, you might be feeling the pinch and might be wondering, okay, do I get rid of my investment property and, make life easy again? But you're only going to get that easiness for, a short period of time until you realize, hey, we shouldn't have sold that property. And the amount of people that I've worked with that have regretted selling an investment property 10 years ago or 20 years ago and kicking themselves till this day, I can name you countless stories, but that's not the video for it. So yeah, the first strategy is really looking at your financial bucket and trying to fill those holes. Now, again, the price that you pay when you come to fill those holes or try and save some money might be sacrifices. And those sacrifices might be giving up on luxuries, might be giving up on, things like alcohol, cigarettes, entertainment, going out, gifts for yourself, sometimes for others. Doing things that may bring you short-term joy and happiness. Can you make some sacrifices in those areas? You were thinking, well, life is all about being happy and living in the now and all that. Well, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. If that's what your life is about, living in the now but not worrying about the future, you do you. But don't complain in the future when you don't have the investment property or the financial rewards that you didn't work for, or you gave up on. The other side of the equation is, so obviously once you've addressed the money saving part, the other part is the money making. So how do you make more money? And again, I get mixed reactions from people when I suggest, go out there and make more money, because they go, well, I'm in a job, I've got a capacity to how much I can make. I don't have a business. I don't have investments. I don't have this or whatever. And they tell me what they don't have. But I always ask them, well, what do you have? You have the same 24 hours in the day. You have the mental and the physical ability to go out there and produce value for someone else. Why aren't we using that? Why aren't we utilizing our resources that we already have, and being able to produce some value, which is then going to give us an income in return? And, again, some of the responses I may get is, well, I work in a professional job. I don't want to have to, go and work part-time or do something that's going to, make me feel less important or whatever it is. And this is where the ego comes in, and it really starts clouding our judgment and our ability to decipher what's more important. Is it, being in a suit in a professional job and, having a luxurious lifestyle now, or is it having a comfortable retirement and being able to have freedom of choice and freedom of, doing whatever you want financially in 10 years time or 20 years time or 30 years time, or when kids have grown up, or when you're physically not able to work as hard, or you're mentally not able to take on as much pressure and challenges. So this is where the question really comes up, and the other part, or the other I guess common trait that I'm seeing is there's a lot of that entitlement mentality that's starting to come through, especially post-COVID. Because ever since the pandemic, some governments, depending on where you lived, were able to step in and give people financial support, whether it's through JobKeeper, JobSeeker, or any kind of financial support to get people, obviously paying their bills and being able to continue living comfortably. Now, what that's done is it's actually weakened people, and it's reduced their ability to go out there and produce for themselves and fend for themselves. Right now, again, like I said before, this is not across everyone, because there's different circumstances, and I'm only talking about the circumstances that I've been exposed to and the people that I work with. But from what I'm seeing is that a lot of people have got this mentality where they feel like they're entitled to some kind of handout, or entitled to someone coming in and solving their problems. When I say someone, I'm referring to government, because what the government's done is it's really taken people's power away from them, by giving them freebies along the way, or free money, or whatever it is. And I'm not calling it free money, it's just lack of a better word, financial support, by being able to provide support in times of need, which is not always a bad thing, by the way, right? But some people who didn't need that support, who had the ability to go out there and produce more, all right, have now chosen the path of, let's, wait for someone to come and save the day, rather than how do we go out there and produce more for ourselves. Because, in life, you can either wish for things to be easier, or wish for yourself to be better. You can either wish for your problems to be minimized and taken away, or for you to be able to handle more problems. Now, as a parent of 4 kids, as an owner of multiple businesses, I can tell you problems never go away. They never get smaller. In fact, they're only getting magnified and getting bigger over time. But if you want to grow as a person, you can't wish for those problems to disappear. You can't wish for your kids to never have issues, or your businesses to never have issues, or to never have any problems. You can't handle life that way. You got to be able to grow as a person to be able to deal with more. So if you want to be able to get more, you need to be able to deal with more. And this is where I guess that entitlement mentality has really affected some people over the last few years. And unfortunately, it's made us soft. So, when we are hit with issues like an interest rate rise, which means, there's a couple $100 more per month that you need to find in order to maintain and keep that investment going, people are now looking for the easy way out to get rid of the extra few $100 commitment, as opposed to going and try and find ways to make that extra few $100. Now, again, to make that extra few $100, even if it was say $1,000 or a couple of $1,000, I know I might be talking about it like it's small numbers, but really when you break it down, it's not that hard. Whether it's to, from a savings point of view, there's only so many coffees you can cut out, or so many subscriptions you can cancel, and it's probably not going to make a huge difference. But when it comes to going and making more money, it's not that hard to go make a couple of $100 extra per week, or to sell something on the side to then generate another stream of income, just to be able to maintain your investment portfolio, just so you don't give up on it. Because there will come a time in that cycle where we will go from winter through to spring back to summer. And some people who bought their properties would have bought it in the summertime, or bought it in the peak season when interest rates were cheap and property prices were still okay. And they may have thought this was going to be an easy ride, but then the minute they go into a winter period or go through some challenging times, all of a sudden their brain's looking for the easy way out. So I encourage you, whatever you can do to hang on to your investments, to keep building your portfolio, to keep your focus on your financial future, and make sure that you don't give up too early, and don't make bad decisions based on emotions and based on what you see happening around you in this world. If you can hang on and go past that part, that hard period, this is what separates the men from the boys. I'm not being sexist, and it's obviously applies to everyone, but this is the part that separates the winners from the losers. And this is the part that separates those who in the future will look back and go, oh, I wish we never sold that property. I wish we kept that property, that investment property. It would have doubled in value by now. From the others who are going, you know what, I'm glad we hung on. And I'm glad that we went through, a little bit of a tough period, and we were able to deal with that, because not only did we reap the benefit financially, we actually grew as people as well out of it. So again, look, like I said at the start of the video, this does not apply to every person out there, because I know every circumstance, is different. Every person's different. There's no one size fits all when it comes to solutions. However, if you find any value or benefit from this, I encourage you to adopt it into your own, financial, architecture that you've got going on in your own life, and use it to your advantage. And look, if anyone's ever needing, a sounding board, or someone just to sort of bounce ideas off, or anything like that, my door's always open, my phone's always on, and I welcome any conversations around this kind of stuff. So hope you got some value out of it. If any questions, always as always, reach out, and I look forward to seeing you next time on another video. All right, cheers and all the best.